So many people every single day fall for the scam graphics cards on Wish, AliExpress, eBay, and sometimes even sites like Amazon. And so today we're going to be looking at a pretty comprehensive guide on how you can avoid being scammed online when purchasing one of these graphics cards. If you've fallen for one of these scams, then don't worry, you're really not alone. So many PC enthusiasts fall for these every single day. So if you know someone out there who has fallen for one of these scams in the past, then make sure to send them this video so that they can better educate themselves and ensure it doesn't happen again. We're going to have to start out by having a look at some of the more obvious methods of identifying these cards, and then we'll work our way on to some of the more subtle points that you guys might not realise. First up is where you buy these graphics cards. Now, whilst it's true that not all graphics cards on Wish are fake, as we proved in the video up here, it certainly is true that a lot of the graphics cards on these sites are fake, and so it's very important to be vigilant when purchasing from second-hand sites and especially when purchasing from Chinese sellers. If you're not confident buying a new graphics card, then perhaps it may be best to stick to retailers such as Overclockers UK, Scan and eBuyer. They have a fantastic reputation and only sell legitimate products. You guys are also going to want to keep an eye on the price, because the age-old saying of, if it's too good to be true, then it probably is. Well guys, that saying is famous for a reason. If the price seems suspiciously low, then perhaps be a little bit hesitant. A great way to find out if the asking price is reasonable or not is to check sites like eBay for the GPU you're supposedly buying and use the sold items filter to see how much these cards are selling for secondhand. If the price you find on eBay is significantly higher than what you've found elsewhere, this is another good sign that your card is fake. But again, this isn't yet definitive proof because you could just have a bargain of the century. Now guys, this next step is where we start to get into more definitive evidence. Fake graphics cards tend to reuse the same cooler designs, no matter whether it's supposed to be a GTX 1060 or a GTX 1080 Ti, or even a GTX 960 like the one I showed off in this video. And the useful thing to know is that no legitimate graphics cards out there use these cooler designs. So if you see any graphics cards that look like this, or look like this, and bear in mind that sometimes this graphics card cooler comes in green as well, the one I have right here, it's blue, but they do come in other colours as well, so just be mindful of that. And sometimes they also look like this. And make sure to pay attention to that, well, let's say less than accurate NVIDIA logo. Essentially, if the card has any of the following coolers, then it's fairly safe to assume that these are not the so-called bargain cards that you thought they might have been. Boxes like this are also fairly common amongst fake graphics cards. And then when you open up the box, you'll often find a CD that looks like this, where it has the NVIDIA logo here and the AMD logo over here, and maybe even some Chinese text in there as well. So if you've ordered a card that comes in one of these boxes with the Windows 7 logo up here, because let's be clear guys, it's been a very long time since these scammers updated their designs, and also that old NVIDIA logo, then chances are you have a fake card on your hands and it's time to request a refund from wherever you purchased it. But there is also one thing that 99% of the time all graphics cards that are fake have in common, and that's the I/O. So whilst you can usually tell just by looking at the cooler whether or not the card is fake, if at any point the seller shows or describes the I/O and it looks like this, then I can promise you the card is fake. An HDMI port followed by VGA and DVI is a surefire sign that the card is fake. Now let's be clear, there are legitimate cards with this I/O and they've existed in the past, but we're talking about cards from the GTX 400 era. And so if you're buying anything newer than that and it comes with that I/O, then you can consider it fake. One tactic that sellers on Wish often use is to list the product as $1 and hope that you don't pay any attention to the description or checkout page, where they actually tell you that you're buying a GPU power adapter rather than the GPU in the pictures. So I'm really sorry to break this news to you guys, but there's not going to be any $1 GTX 1080 Ti's for you. And finally, if you already have the card and it's installed, then this is where it becomes blatantly obvious if you've been scammed or not. Take a look at online videos displaying the FPS of a variety of games you have being played on the card you've ordered, assuming you already have drivers and everything installed. And if you see a significant difference, then this is a clear sign that the card is fake. Whilst CPU bottlenecks do play a part here, unless you have a very old CPU, chances are the difference won't be massively different. But what signs can you go ahead and ignore? Well, one method scammers often use is to convince you that you really do have the card that you ordered. And they often use Task Manager and GPU-Z to do that. Because these cards have been flashed with modified firmware, they do not accurately represent themselves in software. Consider it a bit like going on a Tinder date with a 10 out of 10 hottie. But then when you get there, it turns out she was actually that creepy dude from down the road, and she definitely wasn't a 10 out of 10 either. So when you plug your GPU into your PC, just because GPU-Z and Task Manager are telling you one thing, you guys shouldn't believe everything you see in software. And wrapping up guys, if you did find this video useful, then be sure to hit like and subscribe. And perhaps send it on to a friend that you think would find this video useful, because absolutely nobody wants to be scammed by these people. And it's important that we all help each other to educate one another to improve the community as a whole and sort of try and wipe out this plague of resellers selling these shitty fake cards.